Kid Cudi took the stand against Diddy today, but it might not have ended how you thought. We're going to get into it. But real quick, let's hear a word from our sponsor. Want a live interview with Viral Hip Hop News? Email me, Sam Ant, at dlsmediainc1@gmail.com. Let's go. If you're an artist, an entrepreneur, you want to promote your music or your brand here on Viral Hip Hop News, email me, dlsmediainc1@gmail.com. I'm offering an artist spotlight special where you get an interview with me, Sam Ant, here at Viral Hip Hop News, and many more. And if you want to promote your brand, you want a commercial in the front of all my videos like this one, you see the special below. Email me, dlsmediainc1@gmail.com. I'm running a great 90-day, that's right, a 90-day special. If you're interested, let me know. All right, let's go to work. So Kid Cudi took the stand today in the Diddy trial. Now, a quick backstory. Kid Cudi dated Cassie, back in, I think, 2011, 2012, which ignited a little bit of a beef between Diddy and Kid Cudi. We've always heard rumors about Diddy blowing up Kid Cudi's car. Never really had any confirmation. But today, Kid Cudi confirmed it. That's right. He took the stand and he talked about it. I have two videos that I want to show you. One from Kid Cudi after the aftermath, kind of explaining or thanking everybody for the support, getting the weight off of his shoulders. I'll play that. And the second video I'm going to play, or I may play the second video first, is of Lauren Conlon, who has been there every day of the trial, giving updates, giving specs of what's going on within the trial. She talked at length today about two different situations that happened in the trial. We're going to focus on the Kid Cudi situation. I'm going to play that video. Matter of fact, we'll do that right now. We'll listen to Lauren Conlon and then followed by Kid Cudi, and then we'll talk about it. Now, this video is about 10 minutes long. I'll play it as long as we got to. I have not listened to it yet. We're going to listen to it live together. As long as she's talking about Kid Cudi or something interesting, we'll let it rock. The second it starts getting into sex toys and bottles of baby oil and all that weird shit, may cut it off and move to Kid Cudi. But as long as it's relevant, we'll let it rock. All right, let's go.
Update. It's basically winter. We are Diddy day 9, and I'm going to skip through George Kaplan, Diddy's former assistant's testimony right now just to get through Kid Cudi. I'm going to give you all those details during my later recap at the end of the day. But let's start with Kid Cudi, aka Scott Mescudi. So he walked into the courtroom, seemed very relaxed, wearing a leather jacket, had an earring on, and I thought maybe Diddy was going to kind of like look at him all the way as he got up to the witness stand. He didn't. He kind of just sat back in his chair. So Kid Cudi testified that he met Cassie, they dated, they worked on music together, and he said that he thought that Cassie and Diddy were on again, off again, but at the time that he was seeing Cassie, which we found out was pretty much about a year. Oh, and also he got up there and said that he loved her. He was in love with her. That's sweet. But he said that he was under the impression that she was totally off again with Combs for that entire year. So, and we all know that Diddy found out about Cassie and Kid Cudi from her testimony when Diddy found an email on her phone to Capricorn Clark or one of Kid Cudi's assistants, something about her toiletry bag at his house. So we hear about this. We hear about this night. And oh, by the way, not to jump around again, but when the prosecution had their opening statements, they mentioned a break-in involving Diddy's assistant that was kidnapped out of her bed at night and was forced to go break into someone's home to look for Cassie. And it turns out it was Kid Cudi's home, but we'll get there. So he goes back to that evening, December 2011. He says that, hopefully you guys can hear me, it's so windy. He says Cassie calls him very upset and stressed, saying, you know, Sean Combs found out, and she's panicking, and she says, come and get me. So he goes to get her, and he takes her to a hotel. He takes her to the Sunset Marquee. He thought that would be better. She'd be off the radar. But then he later says that for whatever reason, Cassie gave Diddy his home address, Kid Cudi's home address. And maybe she felt like she was forced to. Maybe he was threatening her. That's just a guess. I don't have proof of that. I'm just wondering why she would do that. So they're at the hotel, and then they get a call from Capricorn Clark. And Capricorn, although she works for Diddy, she's good friends with Cassie. So Kid Cudi describes that Capricorn is on speakerphone, and she's calling them from the car in the driveway of Kid Cudi's house. And she says, yeah, like Diddy's in there with an associate. They woke me up out of bed. They forced me here. They're in your house. So Kid Cudi is pretty mad. And he's like, what the hell? So he gets in the car. He drives over to his house. And he said he calls Diddy. And he goes, motherfucker, why are you in my house? And he just said, I just want to talk to you. That's what Diddy said. And then Kid Cudi says, I'm on my way over. I wrote all this down. And then Sean Combs says, I'm over here waiting for you. So he arrives at the house. He also says that his security cameras, they normally point a certain way. They were pointing down for whatever reason. And but he goes inside. He said nobody was there. All that he noticed was that there were Christmas presents for his family on the kitchen table. They were Chanel, that's all he remembers, and they were opened. And that his dog was locked in the bathroom, or like behind the bathroom door. So he also said that his dog kind of had PTSD from that incident. Oops, sorry, of being locked in there. Okay, no, so baby. Sorry, next page. Oh my God, dog, you got so cold. All right, so... Okay, so he calls Diddy after that, and he says, you know, where are you? And then I guess Sean Combs says, yeah, I'm on my way. And I don't know, he said that things went through his mind, like, you know, should I stay here? Should I do something? You know, whatever. Or should I meet him? And he said after going through all of this, he's like, no, I'm not going to do this myself. I don't know if he has weapons. I don't know anything. So he said that he called the police. And the police went to his home, and they made a report about the break-in, and that was that for now. So he went back to Cassie. She was stressed. That was her demeanor. But he went to Connecticut for the holidays. And when he was in Connecticut, Kid Cudi describes that, I'm like... Am I snotting? Sorry, I feel like, oh my gosh, I've probably been snotting this whole time. Sorry, really sorry. It's really cold. Sorry. So, shut up. Kid Cudi describes that Combs is texting him while he's in Connecticut. Like, you know, what did he say? I just want to get to the bottom of it. You know, I was in the dark about all this stuff. This is what he's texting Kid Cudi. And he's just like, I want nothing to do with this. So he doesn't respond to him. And then Cassie ends up breaking up with him before New Year's. And, you know, he goes back to LA. And then we found out that Cassie goes to Arizona to visit Diddy. And so now we're January of 2012. And he said he's 45 minutes away from his house. This is Kid Cudi. He said he's at his ex-girlfriend's sister's house, and his dog sitter calls him and says that his car is on fire. And it's about 6:30 a.m. And she takes pictures of the car, and he has a Porsche. And it turns out that a Molotov cocktail was thrown through the top of the car. So he drives over there. I mean, we see pictures. The whole roof is destroyed. They open the door up. It's all charred on the inside. And he explains what a Molotov cocktail is. You know, it's an explosive, a bottle with an inflammatory liquid. It's lit on fire. And yeah, and then I wrote down that he yawned on the stand. Let me see. Oh yeah, and then his friend Chip sent photos of the car. I guess his friend Chip was nearby. And so yeah, he calls the cops, and he makes a report. Oh, okay. So then, the prosecutor says, what was your reaction to your car being set on fire? And he goes, what the fuck? It was actually kind of funny. Okay, so he says a few days later, that's that. He reaches out to Diddy, and he says, let's meet, we need to talk. So he says that D-Rock, and which is, you know, one of his bodyguards, D-Rock brings him to a floor, maybe the 7th floor at the LA Soho house. Cassie is not there yet. He said that he walked in, and this is actually a really funny moment in the courtroom. He said that Diddy was facing these like windows, these glass windows, and he was turned around with his hands like behind his back. And he goes, he looked like a Marvel supervillain. Everybody's like, what? And then he said that Diddy's demeanor was so calm, it was almost bizarre. He said that he was offering him water twice. He made sure to say that, and he just said it was really weird that he was so calm and bizarre. And basically, you know, they said they worked it out where, you know, Kid Cudi said, I didn't know you guys were still dating. I'm sorry, it's over, blah, blah, blah. Worked it out. They shake hands, and Kid Cudi says, wow, you know, their hands were still clasped. He said, well, what about my car? And Diddy just said, let me see what he said exactly, sorry. Diddy said, I don't know what you're talking about. And this is per Kid Cudi. And Kid Cudi said that he kind of let his hand go and just walked away. And Diddy's like, wait, I thought you said we were cool. And he said, yeah, you don't know anything about my car. Okay. And that was that. He said he didn't see him like pretty much ever until a few years later at Soho House again in LA when Diddy was with his daughters and Kid Cudi was there for something. He just went up to him and he apologized for everything. So I thought that was interesting. And I'm really sorry if I'm like snotting, gosh. Okay, so really quick, a minute left. So Brian Steele did the cross of Kid Cudi, and it was actually funny. At one point, they had a sidebar. I don't remember what it was exactly, but Kid Cudi goes, "Mr. Steele, I want to say something," and the judge was like, "Nope, you can't." It was kind of a funny moment. And Brian Steele, he kind of got Kid Cudi to smile a little bit. He complimented him, said how talented he was, and then the things that he pointed out, the important thing the defense pointed out here. Okay. The fact is, he asked him about the police report with the car, and he said, well, did they ever follow up with you, the LAPD or whichever agency it was, about the car? Because, they got fingerprints, they got DNA, and he said, he basically was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And Steele said, yeah, so the DNA was from a woman that they found. And Kid Cudi said he didn't know that. And I'm not adding in any commentary here, so just, make your own conclusions in your mind if whatever you think is going on. Then he also added that during the break-in, he said his door was wide open, and there was no forced entry. He also got Kid Cudi to admit on the stand that he felt like Cassie, quote, played him. He said that twice that I wrote down. Let me see. He also, he testified that Cassie told him about the physical violence, but he didn't see it himself, but Cassie just told him. He didn't know anything about sexual violence. I'll have more later.
All right. So real quick, shout out to Lauren Collins, because that was great stuff right there, right? Got a great insight. I know that when this whole thing started, one thing that I thought was a smoking gun was Kid Cudi. And if Kid Cudi was to take the stand, Diddy could definitely be in trouble because of the car situation, because of alleged threats. And we've heard these things for years. And there were plenty of people that we've heard rumored to come on the stand that could really throw a wrench in Diddy's case, but they didn't do it. And Dawn Richards was one of them. And they basically, the defense shredded her up, with all due respect. So the next was Kid Cudi. And listening to Lauren break it down, man, first off, and we have attorney Shabazz coming on tomorrow. Miss Akia Shabazz, and I can't wait to speak to her in particular about this situation, because I don't know if there's any legal ramifications that could come from the alleged break-in and the alleged burning of the car by Diddy. There's no alleged that it was a break-in, and it's not alleged that there was a fire set to his car. Those are facts, right? But whether Diddy did it or not, we don't know. We don't know. And the fact that the prosecution could not, without a shadow of a doubt, prove that, it's a lot of hearsay. Prints and DNA, none of that points to Diddy, and that doesn't mean he didn't do it. That means he was very calculated and very precise if he did do it, and not leaving any type of evidence to point to him. Now, in my personal opinion, I think that Kid Cudi knows. I think that the people know exactly who burnt that car up, exactly who went through his crib, and we can assume that was Diddy, right? I don't think that anybody thinks that was somebody else. If it wasn't physically Diddy himself, Diddy was pulling the strings and allowing that to happen, in my personal opinion. Now, did the prosecution do enough to prove that? And is it enough to put him into a RICO case, a sexual assault case? What I'm trying to say is, are these testimonies enough to charge Diddy for what he is being accused for? And I thought that Kid Cudi statement would kind of slay it toward the direction of yes. But now that I've heard it, or I've heard excerpts from Lauren Collins said, man, I think that I'm going to go ahead and say what I've been saying, and I think Diddy's going to get off, man. I really do. But real quick, I want to play Kid Cudi's statement before we get up out of here and hear what he has to say and break that down. Let's go.
So I just want to say, man, I've been seeing all the love and support, and I just want to say thank you so much, man. People have been hitting me up the past week, just checking in, and even today, and it really means a lot to me, man. You guys are the best. I love y'all. This is a stressful situation. I'm glad it's behind me. And yeah, I love y'all, man. Big love. Go stream Neverland.
Salute to Kid Cudi, man. I got to meet Kid Cudi once when I was working in my previous job years ago as a executive protector in Brigada, and I got a chance to walk him around as we were doing his performance in Brigada and did his club appearance. Actually, ironically enough, I also walked around Diddy. Another story for another day. But a lot of people are running their mouth, and a lot of internet people. I don't see people really taking this with steam, but saying that he's a snitch and he got on the stand and ratted. First off, this is street business. But if you're subpoenaed by the federal government to come up there and testify, you better do what they tell you before it's a fucking obstruction of justice or whatever that shit, contempt of court, and you sitting up in a jail cell because you didn't want to answer questions. Now, he didn't sit back and railroad him. He went and told his truth. You know what I'm saying? And I don't put any blame on him for getting on the stand as a civilian. He wasn't involved in gangster activity or gang violence, or wasn't involved in any illegal enterprises where he was supposed to shut up and then he pointed at somebody after being caught. These are completely different circumstances where the man's house was broken into and the man's car blew up and he tried to take it into his own hands to have conversation. They had conversation. It was what it was. And now this shit sparks up 10, 12 years later. So he has to go and do what he was told to do, which was testify. So I don't put that whole snitch jacket on Kid Cudi. I think that's a bit silly. It does seem like he's happy to get out of it. He did bring up some stuff, but I don't know if it was enough, man. I don't know if it was enough. Like I said, we're going to talk to a prosecution attorney who we've had on the show many a times. Tomorrow she's going to break down this situation and the entire Diddy case for us. I can't wait for that. But until then, I want y'all to leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think of Kid Cudi's testimony of the Diddy trial thus far. Is it giving you any inclination that they got enough to go ahead and convict Diddy of the charges that he's presented with? Or do you believe, like me, he's about to get off? Y'all leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Appreciate each and every one of y'all. Sam Ant, CEO of the brand Viral Hip Hop News. I love each and every one of y'all. Love yourselves. Until next time, until next story, we out of here. Deuces.